some questions which we come across from our first time buyers and move up buyers on a regular basis. So just wanted to ask you those. So perhaps you can give your professional opinion, advice to keep in mind. So uh, there are a few questions, not too many. We may be done in 15 minutes or so.
No problem.
So the first one is, what are the typical expenses included in a buyer closing cost? Like buyers know they have to pay a closing cost, but they don't have much idea um, what is entailed in there. Like what are the what?
So that's one of the questions. That's my everyday question that I'm answering almost every day, sometimes twice, sometimes thrice. What is the closing cost? It's fairly, it's not very vast. And today we're just discussing resale. We're not discussing builder
Yeah, we're
because
discussing resale.
yeah, we're not discussing builder today because we'll need another live session for builder.
Okay.
Today, today we'll just do resale. There are five major closing costs because that's how we structure it. Whenever I have clients come in, I send them a structure and it just has five closing costs. And let's just discuss from the most expensive cost first, and then let's just dip down. First is land transfer tax. We'll discuss what these mean later. But first is land transfer tax. Then we have title insurance. We have registration of the transfer, that is the purchase. We have the registration of the mortgage. And then we have the legal fees and also disbursements. Let's start with this first one. Uh, Land transfer taxes, that one time tax that you are paying to the government for the transfer, the conveyancing. Okay. It's subjective. I cannot give, like, clients will call me, how much is land transfer tax? Subjective to the purchase price, subjective to the city that you're purchasing, subjective to are you a first time home buyer or not. So those aspects you need to disclose with me. And then there are websites online where you can kind of go and figure out how much land transfer tax you will also be entailing to. That's one. Title insurance, very similar. We cannot give you a title insurance amount before knowing the entire transaction. Subject to purchase price, city, your lender. So those things kind of make the judgment as to how much title insurance will cost. We have registrations. Right now, it's 84.23 for each registration. That's what land registration office takes from us for the registration of the mortgage, registration of the transfer. That's the sale or the purchase. Okay. Then we have legal fees subject to each and every lawyer. It can be different. Then we have disbursements. A lot of clients will ask us, what do disbursements actually mean? We have to explain to them that we disbursements include we use a software, a conveyancing software to kind of write the matter into. That's what we use. So the conveyancing software. Then we have nowadays lenders, lots of banks take like a processing fee from us to send us the mortgage instructions. So that is in that disbursements. We do searches of the title of the property. We also do a writ search on each party to the document, to the agreement of purchase and sale. So that, then we have those general disbursements. That's very subjective to every lawyer, their practice. Checks, couriers, postages, small nicks and knacks. But usually you will see that a lawyer is giving you a wholesome amount of this is our general disbursement, because every transaction you will get to know. So that's what they'll take from you. So those are the chunk of your closing cost. Some things that a lot of clients will come, this is out of experience, that comes as a googly ball to them, is property taxes are adjusted, right, on in the statement of adjustment. So sometimes if the seller has paid for the whole year, they will ask for the adjusted amounts, that after the day of closing you are paying. So sometimes that can be a little 500, 600, comes as a surprise to the client. It's coming back to them anyways,
Yeah.
but because at that point in time it's like a wholesome amount is going, it kind of affects some buyers sometimes. So that they need to be there. I'm just saying that keep like a little extra amount on the side, because not every transaction will have that specific like closing structure. It cannot be very hardly defined, right? It has to be a little flexibility you have to give. Then you have, sometimes there are bank fees, appraisal reports cost money from the bank end, so they'll charge it on the mortgage commitment. That sometimes comes as a surprise. Another one that I've seen out of experience that comes as a surprise to first time home buyers is when they're doing a CMHC mortgage, they know that they are paying that mortgage uh, premium amount, but when they are signing the mortgage documents, there is this one amount. They do not consider that there will be an HST on it.
Mhm.
So that HST amount comes as a googly to
Yeah,
them.
that can be substantial, like $3,000-$4,000.
Yeah. So those couple of things, all prospective buyers should take into consideration when they are
So is it
realistic.
fair to say a buyer should have around 1.5% range for all of the purchase price for all
Probably
these expenses?
yes. Yes.
So a
Yeah.
good
Probably
thumb
yes.
rule can be 1.5% for the lawyer's office.
I'm
For
sorry.
a 1.5% of the purchase price, which will include all
All of
these
this.
expenses
Yeah,
approximately.
and then keep some for on the side. Just sometimes you don't know, right? So just keep a little bit on the side for your extra expenses if they come your way. That's it.
Now, a first-time home buyer gets up to $4,000 discount in land transfer tax. Is that fair to say?
Dep- I'm not gonna say yes or no to something like that, because it is, you have to be eligible for first time home buyer rebate. Maximum that you can receive is yes 4,000 if you're purchasing in the city of Toronto, because Toronto is also taxed twice, municipally and provincially, because your land transfer tax also doubles here. So you're also getting the tax refund twice. So it's approximately 8,000 for Toronto, 4,000 max for the rest of Ontario.
Now, if
But
the husband and wife both are first-time buyers, just hypothetically, still they will get
4,000.
4,000 only for one house, right?
Yes, yes,
That's good. Like
yes.
sometimes
Yeah.
you're getting 4,000 and 4,000.
No,
So just clarifying that.
maximum 4,000.
Another thing we hear is, can the keys, can the lawyer give us the keys in the morning on the closing date? Can you elaborate on that?
No. I mean, there is no straight jacket, yes or no to that. It's more extensive than that. Clients have to understand what goes behind the purchase from the lawyers, and we receive funds early in the morning. Sometimes funding can be delayed from the bank. So let's assume on a straight jacket deal, everything is going well. I'm receiving funds early in the morning. Still, I have my due diligence. I have a checklist that we need to perform all diligences on. We send funds to the seller's lawyer. They receive it, and then they have to release a transfer. The process takes time. It's a lengthy process, and you have to also take into consideration that every lawyer is doing multiple transactions in a day. So probably I am sending funds early, but the seller's lawyer may confirm receipt of funds maybe in an hour or so. Or like, let's short story, like long story short, if you're receiving your keys between 3 to 4, you have an early closing. But if you're receiving your keys between 5 to 6, that's absolutely normal as well. So 5 o'clock registrations stop there, like we close registrations, LRO closes registrations. So you usually receive keys around that same time, 5:30, but not early in the morning. That's too much of an expectation from a lawyer. But 3 to 5:30 is the time.
Yeah. So, again, on a note, I think real estate agents should not put last day of the month as default closing date, because that day
It's
all the closings are
very,
happening.
very
And
busy.
the movers are also busy
Yeah.
because all realtors are putting by default last day of the month.
Yeah.
And usually, let's say a first time buyer has their home usually till end
Yeah.
of the month, so it's good to get the keys few days sooner, a week sooner. So even though the keys you get at 6 o'clock, so you're not moving at like today,
Yeah.
or daylight
I
now.
I'll also add one more thing which I always tell my like fellow realtors, clients, whenever I'm having this conversation. Try to, whichever week of the month it is, try doing a closing either on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, because even we never know, right, why there would be an extension. But if there is any possibility of an extension, we have those working days to kind of find a solution, resolve the matter. You have those days, because a lot of clients who close on a Friday have to wait till Monday for any resolution. So Friday I never recommend. Tuesday, Wednesdays are great days to close. You have,
That's
yeah,
what we do, but
yeah,
some um, some agents, mostly new agents and experienced agents, they tend to do that.
yeah.
Anyhow, so let's say the closing happened, and now hypothetically, buyer Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they go and open the door, and the house is not as clean as they expected it to be, or something is broken. Let's say a shelf is broken or the stove is not working. It's like 6 p.m. On the closing day. Ideally, what they should do.
Okay, so this one is one too many a times this has happened. Lots, this happens a lot, very common. uh what they can do is, they have two routes, right? They have a lawyer route and they do have a realtor route. I always explain to clients that realtor routes will be faster, because realtors will can just pick up the call, to call the other side, have a conversation. It's informal as well, and they can just discuss a like they can discuss a solution and get away with it. But if that solution doesn't work, take pictures, send it to the purchaser, your lawyer, ask them to evidence it, send it out to the seller's lawyer, and see how they kind of respond back to the matter. Usually, uh, unfortunately, many a times they will not respond, because after the agreement of purchase and sale is firm, they have sent to you, they have given you a vacant possession. Broom swept condition can be very subjectively uh, defined, and
It's
it can
subjective,
find,
person to person.
it's exactly. So they would be like, it looks clean to us, it in our
Beauty
eyes.
lies
I,
in the eyes of the beholder.
yeah, exactly, right? So it really depends how you, the other side. Sometimes I've seen gracious sellers who will work with the new buyers and kind of do it, but that is a request you can make. If you're asking if anything legally you can do, um I believe in preemptive kind of action. Then, like after you've closed, you realize that, oh, yeah, this is not working, or you should have done that before you
So,
close.
so let's say somebody is closing tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
11th of December. So ideally, they should go around 9th or 10th for their final buyer's walkthrough. And if there are any anomalies, they should, of course, try to communicate agent to agent, but also through lawyer to lawyer,
To
because
loyalty. When
that.
before the closing, if there is anything that you feel that I'm not 100% uh, like sure that this, like I'm not 100% with this deal, this is not done, these works have not been in order,
Right.
send out emails to your lawyer, send out emails to your realtor, have a resolution. Do not close till you do not have a resolution and you're not 100% satisfied. But you can't, like, this is why I always tell realtors and clients, try to do your last visit 1 day prior to closing, because you will get anything which is wrong. Like if there is a possession issue, like that you're not, you feel that you might not receive vacant possession, That red flag you'll see then and there. So you just hold off, you wait off the closing. You don't become um the owner of the property, because then the seller is in default, you're not. So
Fair enough. So
once, yeah,
go a day or 2 days prior, click pictures, and send it to the
yeah.
agent, to
And
the lawyer.
then mostly I've seen that when that approach is taken, usually all the work will be
Yeah,
done.
we've been
Yeah.
we both have been in those situations together as well.
Yes.
Now, asking about possession. So, as per agreement of purchase and sale, or as per lawyers, what is the day? What is the time of the day the property should be vacated?
See, technically speaking, when it comes to possession, let's talk from the seller's
Mhm.
side now. Okay, the seller's lawyer, before, like at the time, technically now, the time when the seller releases the transfer to register the transfer, that is when the seller needs to have already vacated.
So that means before 5 p.m.
Yeah, right. However, now let's go back to what I said, that do your last day visit to the subject property 1 day or 2 days prior to closing. If you see that the house is not vacant, it is a red flag for you. So then what you can do is, on the day of closing, after funds have been released, because now after funds have been released to the seller's lawyer, the purchaser is good. They've done their bit of the agreement of purchase and sale. They've done their side. Their commitment is fully succumbed to, right? So now what they can do is they can ask for proof that the house has been vacated. That just send us a video or a picture or a confirmation or something in writing that the subject property is now vacated, and so and so. And then you can just move ahead, go ahead with the closing.
Let's
Then
say
that's,
next question that comes
yeah,
to my mind is, um, what if they cannot send the video, or they don't want to send the video because it's not
it's a
vacated
red
now?
flag. Yeah.
Now the money has already gone to them. Then we just got to wait
Regist we can't,
as a
money
buyer
has
side.
been sent is fine. Registration is not done, right?
Hmm.
So if you've not registered and money has been sent, the seller, the purchaser's lawyer can just simply send an email to the seller's lawyer that please hold funds. We will not be registering till we do not have proof that we will be receiving vacant possession, because you are not being able to provide us with enough proof that we have vacant possession, right? So in that case, we don't register, and till the day of, if by the end of the day, if you don't register, you discuss, go through with an extension costs will be borne by the sellers, and till the time you do not have 100% satisfaction that you will not receive vacant possession, don't close.
Yeah, I think, sometimes, not all of the time, sometimes lawyers don't prep the seller, or in this case, hypothetical case, or the buyer well, and the agents don't know most of the time, and then such situations arise if the seller's lawyer advises the seller that, once the funds have been received, then you got to vacate, right?
Of course they have to vacate. Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough. So, now, from the seller's perspective, let's say if I'm just selling, not buying anything, what is my approximate closing cost?
Oh, okay. Seller's closing
Mhm.
cost. Seller is responsible for the legal fees,
Mhm.
lawyer legal fees. There is an LSO levy fees, which is around $74 or something, not
Mhm.
much. Again, the disbursements, there will be conveyancing, software fees, and everything. They do not pay for registration because that purchaser is paying for registration. They don't. And then they just have to pay off their mortgages, any overdues on their property taxes. Utilities are taken care of by the seller themselves. Doesn't go directly through from the seller's lawyer. But that's the gist of the closing costs of the seller, lesser than the purchasing cost.
Now let's talk about hot water tank rental. So that has been a mm,
Pain.
too off and
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
You know, somebody didn't transfer, or somebody didn't do something, and the seller's credit got, in a situation. What are your comments or advice to future sellers or future buyers?
Um, Assumption agreements. So we as lawyers now, because we do many of these repeatedly, right? The transactions. So we know which company takes assumption agreements, which ones are not taking. But holistically speaking, it actually at the end of it becomes the uh, sellers and buyers respective responsibility to make those calls and get either themselves removed or themselves added into the contracts. Um, and in case we do receive a lot of these calls and emails from client sellers that, oh, they did not add themselves, so they've deducted this amount. Usually we'll send out an email to the seller's lawyer, sorry, purchaser's lawyer, that you haven't added, your client hasn't added themselves. But I would highly, like whenever we have sellers coming in, we always tell them that please make sure that you have called your utilities and let them know that you're getting out and the date that you're getting out. Because at the end of it, the purchaser can afford to just sit on it, because they are not, like, their money is not
If the
going.
seller will be in a tough situation later, very.
Exactly. So it is something that we will always tell sellers that please do that. These are painful calls. I know there are long waits for these utility companies and everything. They take like hours to kind of be approachable, but you have to make those calls. We can send assumption agreements, but then these guys will have to make those calls to kind of cancel their subscriptions, cancel their uh, like remove their names and everything. So that is one diligence that they need to follow.
Fair. One last question is, we stopped doing pre-construction in 2020 because I personally felt the prices don't make any economic sense. Now, some of our clients, even though we told them not to, ended up buying with other agents despite our advice. Now, of course, some of them are in a situation where the value is not there or they cannot close. Any word of advice for them, like what can they do in such a
I'm
situation?
I have I have certain clients going through exactly the same rut problem that we just discussed right now. Just very recently, I've had those couple of clients. Um, they've tried. So there are only two options, right? You can ask them to assign it. You can ask them to close it.
Well, assignment,
The third is
nobody wants to buy assignment today. It's like
exactly. So assignment, they try, they are unsuccessful. Uh,
majority of the time, like high
Mostly right
majority of the
now,
time.
at this timeline that we are in right now, there is no because even buyers know right now that it's a resale market, right? So nobody is buying pre-construction right now. Assignment also, because there are underlying, as we discussed, that the closing costs for builder is another.
That's a separate
Uh,
issue.
yeah, so nobody wants to get into that right now. So assignment is an option, but not an option available
Not a
at this.
practical one.
Yeah, you close or you can request for an extension. Actually, earlier this year, builders were still like um
Accommodate.
they were accommodating extensions. But what I've been noticing now is that they are not like accommodating any extension requests without fees and penalties, and the penalties are hefty. So extension also, if you get like a more generous builder, that's a different thing. But right now, my all my clients that I've just discussed, they've had to close. Some are closing with privates, some are still in process of their mortgages, but they have to close, otherwise leave the deposit. If it's not a big deposit, then they're leaving it as well. I've seen that happen too, unfortunately. But they have to close. There is,
Leave the deposit, then what we overhear that the builder comes after you
yeah, they
for
sue you.
damages.
They can sue you for damages, this and that. Yeah, I mean, but there have been my clients. Whatever I'm seeing in my experience, they're
Yeah,
closing because they
that's
don't
fair.
have the option.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
next year they say there 40,000 pre-construction closings coming in
yeah,
2025.
it's
40,000.
crazy though, right?
And
Yeah, yeah.
I feel for them. And anyhow, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it. And happy holidays to you and
Happy holidays to you, and we can do this. This was fun. We should do this more often.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And Rishika, just you can just tell your phone number to everybody here.
Sure. My name is Rishika, guys. I'm practicing in Ontario, primarily doing real estate, but we're also in wills and estate planning and family law. Our office is in Mississauga. You can reach me at info 416-434-8565. If you need any further information, just look up RB Law Professional Corporation. You'll find me. And yeah, and if you anybody wants my number, Jay has my number. He can give it to you as well.
You can just DM us and we can send you her BCF card. And again, lovely to see you. You take care.
Likewise.
And thanks for
Take care. All right. Bye bye.
bye.